Welcome back to All Chat, the only League of Legends esports podcast that brings you the latest highlights from all four major regions every week, except this week, where we only have highlights from two of the major regions, because we got breaks for two of the regions. My name is Jack Dawes. I'm joined by Grayson Yada. Let's talk about some League of Legends.
Oh yeah, so down, Jack.
Let's
There
get
was
into it.
only two regions going, the LPL and the LCK, but there's a lot of pretty crazy stuff that happened this week. So I'm ready to talk about all of it.
Let's jump in. Yeah, we had a break for the LCS, and then the LEC just finished up playoffs. So, what do you got for me? Let's jump in.
Yeah, so starting off with the LPL, I mean, there's a lot going on. I feel like all the games were kind of in different directions. There weren't really a lot of favorites that were taking their games.
Yeah.
Just for starters, I feel like we've been talking about LNG every single week, but I don't know if they can turn this thing around, man. They're currently sitting at 2-6. They had an 0-3 week and a half since coming back from the lunar break,
That's
but
crazy.
they look bad, dude. It's tough.
Yeah.
They played FPX, Top Esports, and NIP, and they lost all three of them.
So, to their credit, I mean, NIP has continued to look good. I want to ask you about them in a little bit.
Uh huh.
And we know Top Esports is going to be a contender. Like they look like one of the teams that's going to be at the top the whole time. So
Mm-hmm.
to their credit, they've lost to two pretty top tier teams in my mind, at least. The FPX one is a little surprising, maybe, but I've been hearing about Milky Way, their jungler for
Yeah.
FPX, and how crazy he's been going. So maybe that's not as surprising. But I mean, with this LNG roster, it's so hard. We talked about them being frauds. And it's so hard to not think that because with this roster that they have, I mean, this team essentially went to Worlds last year,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're bottom three or something.
Yeah, 2-6 does not have them. I think that is like bottom three right now in the
That's
LPL.
insane.
Yeah, so they played FPX. Just talking about FPX really quick,
Yeah,
they look really good. They actually went 3-0 this week, and they beat Top Esports as well.
I saw
But
that.
yeah, that was crazy. But LNG Hong is back. They subbed out Mark. They
Oh,
brought Hong back against
big
Top
moves.
Esports. Yeah, so Hong was playing versus Top and then versus Nip as well. But I don't
And it
know.
didn't matter.
They just suck, dude. Like they look so discombobulated. Like I look at this team and I'm like, these guys were the LPL finalists last year in summer. Like this was the team that could have stopped the Golden Road
Yeah.
before Worlds even started. And I'm starting to think maybe they need Tarzan back. Like I don't know what the problem is, but yeah, they just look rough. Their early games have been rough. Their macro play is decent, but other teams just seem to capitalize on all their mistakes like super well, and it's every team.
I mean, like at one point last year during Worlds, I had like my money on these guys to be potentially get into grand finals.
Mm-hmm.
I lost faith in Gen G, and I was like, okay, these guys might make it to grand finals at one point.
Yeah,
And I mean, that didn't happen, obviously, but the, just the fall from grace is insane because I don't even have a low opinion of Weiwei. Like you mentioned, bringing Tarzan back in the
yeah,
jungle, I don't even have like a low opinion of Weiwei. I've had a pretty high opinion of Weiwei for a while now.
me too.
So I don't know. Is this just like super team syndrome? Is that they just bring in a bunch of players from, but it's like they're not even bringing in players from like all over the place. They like
Yeah,
barely made changes.
yeah. I mean, now that Hong's back, it's literally just Weiwei. That's the only piece
Yeah,
that's different. So I really don't know what's going on with this team, but they have not looked very good. On the flip side, though, FPX has looked really good. They
that's what
went,
I've heard.
yeah. So Milky Way has looked pretty unreal, and the biggest thing for them is they're really decisive in their shot calling, and they
Mm,
play a lot of unconventional bot picks. So it's kind of like thrown back to the Doinby days where everything weird was mid. Like
yeah,
they're playing a lot of like Swain bot. Like they're pulling out a lot of the non-meta. Like they played an MF game against Top Esports. Um,
interesting.
yeah, just a lot of like random different things that I think are kind of surprising teams.
Yeah, because so Duck Dom and Life both came from the LCK this
Mhm.
year, right?
Yeah.
Were they known for that kind of stuff in the LCK? That's not
N-
my memory of them.
Not really. So Dome was on DRX last year, and then Life was on HLE. And
Yeah,
Life was like honestly one of the weaker pieces on that HLE team. And
yeah.
He's kind of fallen from grace from when he was on D plus. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like this LPL resurgence for them. But I
It's
don't
just so
know.
wild
It's
because I think of Duck Dom in Life as like pretty like standard. Like in the LCK, they were like even when they were their high points, they were kind of just like standard, maybe like middle of the pack
yeah.
players in their roles. And so to hear them coming in and like shaking up the meta with like these crazy bot picks, that's not something I would expect at all from two like middle of the pack LCK players coming over to the LPL. That's wild.
Yeah, I think FPX is definitely turning some heads. I really don't have too much else to say from them because I'm not convinced by them entirely, but they are getting it done. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how they're going to be doing in the future.
Yeah,
Um,
I was looking at their strength of schedule, and it did seem like they were beating teams that were like pretty far down the standings.
mhm.
So I mean, aside from the top esports win,
Yeah.
I mean they beat LNG, but like
Now
how
we
good
don't
is
know about
LNG?
LNG. Yeah.
And then the rest of the teams they beat seemed like, I mean, they beat LGD, who's like kind of middle of the pack right now. It
Mhm.
seems like a lot of their wins have come over kind of middling teams for the most part. So I'm kind of with you. I'm not 100% convinced by them. I'm on the hype train a little bit. I've heard a lot of talk about them this
Uh-huh.
past week and or 2 weeks or so, and I'm a bit on the hype train, but I'm also not fully convinced by them yet.
Yeah, you just brought up LGD. I have a little thing about them.
Sure.
So they love playing 3 games in a series. So 6 out of their 8 series have gone to 3 games, which is
Wow.
really interesting because, I mean, if they convert so a lot of them have been losses. Uh,
Yeah.
they've only had 2 series. They had a 2-0 loss to NIP and then a 2-0 win over EDG.
Okay.
But it really doesn't matter who the other team is. Like they had 2-1 losses to IG, FPX, JDG, Team WE, who is another team that's kind of rising up the
Yeah.
ranks, and then AL, which is like a bottom tier team. And then they had a 2-1
Right.
win over Up. So it's like
Wow.
it's weird, but like are they close? Are they close to like being a legit team? Because they're technically one away from taking series wins in all these series. And they're sitting
Yeah.
at 2-6 right now, but they could potentially be 7-1.
Wow. So they're like taking games off of top teams, but they're also losing games to bottom teams.
Yeah, yeah. Like
That's wild.
they're taking it to 3 games and they never close it out, but they're at least taking 1 game.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting.
yeah, it's like if they convert those, are they gonna start streaking? I just
Yeah.
don't know. I don't think they're a very good team, but the fact that it's against pretty strong opponents, uh, you never know. You never know.
Yeah. I still can't get over this thing that some LPL teams have played, like NIP has played 8 games and
Mhm.
JDG has played 5. I mean, series, not games. NIP
Yeah,
has played 8 series and JDG has played 5. I
yeah.
still can't get over that. That's like,
It's the weirdest thing.
it's so bizarre because it's not even like within one series. Like, it's one thing if it was like NIP has played 7 series and JDG has played 6 or something. It's like, okay, 17 teams. I get it. There's going to be something sometimes like that. But it's wild to me that you can have like a full 3 series separating these teams.
Yeah, that's what makes it so hard to kind of rank these guys too.
Yeah.
Especially all these teams are pulling out upsets, or not all of them, but there's a good amount of upsets going on throughout the LPL. And it
Yeah.
kind of feels like anyone can beat anyone at any given point based on what we've seen so far. Like
Except EDG. And then they finally got their first
they
win, but
did
other than that.
yeah, they did finally get their first win. Poor JJ, he was trying to carry them so hard, and as soon as he gets subbed out due to injury, Monkey
Oh,
comes
is
in
that what
and
happened?
yeah, so he fell and hit his head at the hotel after they went 0-6 or
Oh
whatever.
my gosh.
And then the very next series, All the subs back in, Monkey subs in for Jiejie, and they 2-0 AL. So gotta feel
Well,
bad for Jiejie a little bit, because Jiejie was trying
yeah,
his ass off to carry this team out of the gutter, get this
yeah,
team their first win, and right
that's got
now
to feel so
he's
bad.
0% win rate.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
brutal. But
Um,
you're right though about what you were saying before, that like there's a fat middle of the pack in the
mhm.
LPL. Like there's just a ton of teams that are within like one win of each other, or two wins or something like that. And it does feel like there's a lot of teams who can beat any team pretty much.
Yeah,
So
I mean, look at IG, right? They 2-0'd
yeah,
BLG, and that was like pretty convincing 2-0 as well. And
that
then
was
they
one of the
go and
series I
lose.
actually watched, and that was a crazy series.
Yeah, I mean, I
They
thought
stomped
BLG was
them.
going to be like this untouchable team, right? I think everybody
Yeah.
did. And then IG comes in and is just like, nah.
Yeah.
But then they
No,
go and lose to Team WE.
it really,
So,
like, there's so much more anyone can beat anyone than I expected. It's like LCS levels of anyone can beat anyone in the LPL
yeah.
right now.
And it's crazy because there's 17 teams.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there really is this huge middle ground. Obviously, there's like your top three, but I would say like even anyone could beat those top three teams based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
it's
really
pretty cool
interested.
seeing what's going on over in the LPL.
I'm interested to see how it's going to shake out at the end. See
Yeah,
see who's going to go to Worlds, who's going to go to MSI. Yeah.
and I know you wanted to hear a little bit about NIP.
Yeah.
Um, so they look solid. Aki looks really good. Rookie is rookie now. Like in their match against LNG, it was definitely a closer match. It ended up going 2-1 NIP, but like Scout looked fraudulent. He should be the carry of LNG,
Yeah.
but NIP just capitalized on everything. Uh, any mistake that LNG had, it was basically okay. We're gonna win the game off of that, and it didn't really matter. Like LNG's early game looked a little rough too, so I don't know. I'm not an analyst. I'm just giving my 2 cents, but
Yeah.
I think NIP is one of the top 4 teams right now in the LPL.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I might be wrong about this, but I want to say in the first few episodes that we did, you were pretty hesitant on NIP, and you thought that they were kind of just good because of the teams that they had already played, and that they would start to fall off, and that you didn't think that they were one of the top teams.
Mm-hmm.
So are you going back, or not going back on it, but have they changed your mind now? Do you think that they're legit a top team, or do you think that they're still unproven?
Uh, okay, here's the thing. They're consistent. And I think
Okay.
that's one of the biggest things in League of Legends is having a consistent
Mm,
roster and a consistent team.
yeah.
Like they're never fully out of games, I feel like. And I think that's one of the biggest things for them. Um, they definitely have changed my mind a little bit. I thought strength of schedule was a factor working for them, but
Yeah.
I mean, they're beating decent teams now. I mean, I still think LNG is a good team. Like
Yeah.
it, for them to beat LNG, that because LNG right now is fighting to get some games back, right, or some series back, and so they're trying to play NIP as hard as they can, and for NIP to just kind of shut them down and continue on their streak right now, I'm starting to be a little more convinced by them for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's another team that I am excited to see where they end up at the end,
Hmm.
because I was really excited about them coming into the LPL. I like the look of their roster a lot. I know for any like I Will Dominate fans out there, seeing Shanji and Shanji and Aki on this team
Hmm.
with Rookie is pretty exciting. So I just thought this was going to be an entertaining roster coming in, and to see them like at the top of the table right now, I think that's pretty sick. So
I
I don't
think
know if I'm not like a huge NIP fan or anything, but it's cool to see them succeeding, and I'm excited to see where they end up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's most of what I had from the LPL.
All right.
Honestly, all the matches have been really entertaining though. I mean, you had the JDG BLG match. That was a
Yeah.
banger. Even last night, Top Esports versus FPX. Like that series literally came down to Top Esports went for Baron. They traded Baron for Nexus.
The League of Legends Classic.
Oh yeah. But it
Yeah.
was like fully Top Esports' team to win. But that goes back to FPX's like decisive playmaking, right? Their shot calling. Like they knew that Top Esports was getting Baron, and they just rushed Nexus. So it's so interesting to see how all these different teams play and all their different identities.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see how some of these identities clash and work against each other. All these different identities on all these different teams match up in different ways, which is super cool. And that's we're starting to see how certain teams are beating other teams just because of that.
That's cool. Okay, well, before we end off on the LPL, one quick spur of the moment, I'm going to ask you this point blank. Who are the two? Who are the two teams making MSI from the LPL?
Ooh, all right. Easy answer, BLG.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have them there, I would think.
I think they're pretty much a lock.
Okay.
As far as a complete team goes, they are the most complete team for sure.
I would say that's probably a lock for me as well. If I was going to pick two teams, I think they would 100% have to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the second team, that's so hard.
Isn't
I feel
it?
like it's a toss-up between Top Esports, JDG, and NIP, or even IG.
Yeah.
It's so hard to pick out of those four. But if I'm going to go with my gut, I'm just going to say JDG makes it.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
If Grayson's wrong about this, come for him in the comments down the line. Timestamp this. Take a clip of it, so when MSI comes up, we can make fun of him if he's wrong.
My takes have not been very very good as of late. So
they haven't hit super hard.
Yeah. We'll see how this goes. Give it a month or two, and we'll see where we're at.
I think those are fair picks though, because I'm totally with you. I think it's BLG as a lock, and then it's a total toss up between NIP, IG, Top, and JDG. And there's absolutely like arguments that you can make for some over others, but I really do think any of those teams could be the other one. It'd be a little harder for me to see another team making it over one of those. Yeah, but
for sure.
Out of those teams that we just listed,
it's going to be 2 out of those 5 for sure.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
that's what I think too. Yeah, I'm with you.
Speaking of teams and things like that, that
was an awesome segue. You killed that. That was great. Speaking of teams, good
we
stuff.
mentioned in the previous episode that we are doing a draft. Jack and I have been in the lab cooking up some drafts.
Is it burnt or are we cooking? That's the question.
I don't know. Fire alarm might be going off in mine, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But for those of you who weren't here last week, we basically decided to do this draft style competition to see who's going to come up with a better draft based on a team that could win Worlds. And the stipulations for this draft are we can only pick 3 players total out of the LCK and the LPL. And then the other 2 must be from the LEC or LCS. None of the players can be former Worlds winners. And is there anything else?
I think that's it. No, I think that's pretty much it.
So
it's just draft style. We're gonna go back and forth. I won the coin toss. Actually, we did rock paper scissors, and I won that, so I get first pick.
Yeah,
and I think that's about it.
Yeah, so we'll see how this goes. I cooked up a pretty interesting team. I don't know what Jack has in store, but I hope he doesn't take any of my picks.
I am like so not confident in my picks. There's a method to my madness, but it feels a lot like madness. So
yeah,
we're gonna see how this one goes. I went into this into the planning section, the session for this, and I was like so confident that I was going to be able to smash this. And then as soon as I started actually looking, the really hard part is 3 players from the LCK and the LPL, and then 2 coming from the LEC or the LCS. That's what makes it really hard, because all of a sudden you have to prioritize where you're picking players from. and I don't know. It gets really tough really quick to judge like individual player level, especially when you can't pick worlds winners too,
Yeah.
because you can't just go, oh, I'm going to take ruler or something, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, I
I'm
want
just going to
Faker
take,
first pick.
yeah, I want Faker. Like you can't just take the best players in the world like right off the bat. There are some really good picks that are still open, but you can't just take ruler or faker or whatever and call it a day and just say, oh, they're going to carry me. You got to put a little more thought into it. So yeah, fire alarms might be going off in both houses after
Yeah.
this. Are we jumping in?
Yeah. So who do you have for your first overall pick in the annual or the inaugural all chat draft?
All chat draft. Okay, so I think, man, I'm still like, as we're talking, trying to figure out what exactly my strategy is here. But I think I'm gonna go. Oh man, I don't. I like almost want you to go first, so that I have some idea of what the strategy is. But I'll lock one in. I'm gonna
Okay.
go. I'm gonna go Chovy. My first pick is gonna be Chovy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna lock him in.
Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna lock in another player from Genji then. Right off the
Oh,
bat, I'm taking
okay.
Peyz in the
Yeah,
bot. Yeah.
yeah. That's a good pick. I had him on my list as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see how this is gonna go now. We're gonna start trading a little bit.
Yeah.
So, okay, that was a good pick. So now, here's the tough part. I'm. I think I'm gonna go jungle here. I think I'm gonna
Okay.
go jungle, and I think I'm gonna go. Oh man, I'm gonna go Yike.
You're gonna yike. Okay.
I'm gonna go Yike. I'm gonna use one of my two LCS LEC picks, and I'm gonna go Yike.
Okay. Then let's see. I'm gonna go. All right. Since you took jungle and that helps me a lot, I'm gonna go straight
Okay.
up to the top lane. I'm taking Bin.
Ah, I knew it.
Yeah.
It was Ben or 369. That
Yeah.
was it was going to be a trade, and I think we both probably had Ben first, 369 second.
Yeah.
I should have gone for it, but I think that they're close enough in level that I'm not too upset by that.
Hmm.
But that was a good pick. That
Yeah.
was a good snipe.
I'm guessing you're gonna end up having 369 at some point in the rest of
I
this draft. Then.
I think that's a good guess, unless
Yeah.
you're sniping him and putting him support or something. I don't know. Okay, so because of that, I'm gonna. Oh man, see, this is where it's like, I don't know. This is where I'm gonna run support now, just so that
Okay.
I get a priority pick on this. I'm gonna go Mickey X.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to judge. Support ended up being the hardest one for me.
Okay.
It felt like I honestly almost ended up going with an LCK or LPL support,
Mhm.
because it's so hard for me to tell like who
How
out of
they
the
stack up.
LEC and yeah,
Yeah.
because
I agree.
it seems like it could be a big difference. I was thinking maybe I need to go on, maybe I need to go missing, maybe delight,
Hmm.
but I think I just prioritize. I cared about my solo lanes and my AD a little bit more than I did I felt like jungle and support. There was options in the LCS and LEC you could take. So who are you going?
I'm gonna go straight to the mid lane here, and I'm gonna pick Knight
Yeah.
from BLG.
Yep. Yeah.
And those are my
So
three LCK and LPL picks right there. Bin,
yeah.
Knight,
So
and
you win.
Peyz.
Yeah. Okay. So
Same
you went
exact thing,
top
pretty
mid
much.
AD
Jungle and
carry.
support. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So maybe we had more similar ideas than I thought. I'm
Yeah.
really curious to see who you end up with then for jungle and support.
Yeah.
Um. So I'm on my last pick now. Huh? No, I got two more. We got two more.
Mhm.
Okay. So I mean, it doesn't. I guess it doesn't matter that much at this point. I'm gonna take 369.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for my jungler, I'm gonna be taking Elyoya.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't have him on my list.
Really
Yeah. I
interesting.
had
Okay.
for me, it was a real toss up. I put Inspired, Blabber, and Yike,
Okay.
and I considered having Elyoya on my list, and I totally get why you do, but I think Yike performed a little better than Elyoya did over the
Mhm.
course of the LEC split, and I actually think that jungle is one of the strongest roles in the LCS. I think River, Blabber, Inspired, and Contracts are all like they were all junglers that I was looking at when I was
Yeah.
picking out my draft.
Yeah, no, for sure. I thought Elyoya just had a really good split, and I'd
Yeah.
love to see what he can do with the types of players around him that I have already. So I was like, oh, surely he doesn't perform worse, right?
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
he'll
hey,
elevate a little bit even more. So
if he can do what he did with 4 rookies, what can he do with 4, mega veterans?
yeah, exactly.
So,
Who do you have
okay,
left?
so
Is it your bot lane?
yeah, I just got
Yeah.
ADC left.
Okay.
This was another really tough one for me because I mean, like, I wanted to go ruler, for example, but like,
Mhm.
I can't go ruler. I had Peyz on my list as well. But like, Viper's gone, Deft is gone, Jackie Love
Jackie
is
Love.
gone. It's like
Yeah.
all the obvious picks are gone.
Mhm.
So
Guma.
I'm gonna go Elk.
Yeah.
I trust in BLG. I think all the players on BLG are playing, out of their minds right now. So I'm gonna go Elk.
Yeah. I think top and bot were the two where there's two pretty obvious picks for sure.
Yeah,
And it's just a trade for those two.
I think mid is fairly in that ballpark too. I mean, did
Yeah.
you have Chovy as one of your mids?
Yeah. I had Knight Chovy and then Caps. So
Oh, interesting. Okay,
yeah. It was gonna come down to who you were picking throughout,
yeah.
but I'm
So
pretty
you
happy
have
where I'm
one
at.
pick left too, right?
I do, yeah. It's my support, and I'm going a little off the board here. I'm going
Oh,
Alvaro.
baby. Oh, you are. I thought about that. That's interesting. That's
So
really interesting.
to me, Peyz is a really aggressive bot laner, but
Okay.
he's also really fundamental. And I think Alvaro would really mesh well with how Peyz plays, at least their play styles. Because
Yeah.
Alvaro with his engaged champs, I mean, we saw what Peyz could do with Delight last year.
Right.
And I think Alvaro's kind of in that same ballpark as, an engaged support kind of guy for sure.
Yeah.
So I thought there were, aside from the language barriers, there would be a good amount of synergy there.
So what's interesting to me is that both of us ended up with jungle support pairings from the top 2 teams in the LEC.
Yeah. And no one
um,
from LCS.
and no one from LCS. I really considered Inspired and Blabber. I
Mhm.
really was thinking. And then actually my second support pick, if it wasn't Mickey, it was going to be Vulcan.
Okay.
I know that the bot lane for C9 has not been playing that well right now, but
Mhm.
I have so much faith in Vulcan. I think he's one of the best supports the LCS has ever seen. So he it was going to be either Mickey or Vulcan, but I could totally see Alvaro. I don't know. I didn't have the faith to trust a rookie on this
Yeah.
world's winning team.
No, fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough. I was just
that's funny.
hoping, yeah, that Peyz Alvaro synergy is going to come through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, the classic Peyz Alvaro
Yeah.
synergy. Everyone talks about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So give me the rundown. Who are your 5 picks?
So I have Bin, Ilyoya, Knight, Peyz, and Alvaro.
Yeah,
And then who do you got?
I went 369, Yike, Chovy, Elk, Mickey X.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
There are a lot of similarities there pretty much.
there are. Yeah,
The
a lot of
only
trades.
yeah, for sure. As far as who would win worlds, that's for you guys to decide.
Yeah, yeah. So if our 2 teams went against each other in the world's finals, who's taking it? That's my question.
Yeah. I think we both cooked up some pretty solid squads actually. No fire alarms
Yeah.
going off here.
Let us know. Let us know in
Yeah.
the comments. Did we burn the house down, or is there maybe some edible food there? I don't know.
And who would you guys pick if you guys could draft your own
Yeah,
team? We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts as well because this is super
yeah.
fun for us, and who knows, maybe you guys have some other opinions out there.
I think it's surprisingly difficult too. If anyone takes us up on this and does their own draft of it, even if you're just drafting against us or drafting against yourself or whatever it is, I think it's going to be surprisingly difficult with the. We didn't even put that many limitations on it, but with the limitations that are on it, so no worlds winners, only 3 players from the LPL and the LCK. 2 of them have to come from the LCS or the LEC. And was that it?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So even with just those stipulations,
It narrows down the pool pretty good.
it's a lot. Yeah, it takes a lot off the table. But I think there's also a lot of picks that we left out there that easily could have ended up on these lists, especially if you're going to take different players from different roles than we did, because we both went jungle support for the West. But if you switch that up and you went mid from the West, or I think there's some really good Eastern junglers as well. I mean, like, we didn't even talk about Jun or Kanavi, Peanut. We left Peanut entirely on the table. I can't believe that guy hasn't won Worlds.
Oh, I know. You got to feel for the guy. He's been around for so long.
And he's been so good for so long.
Yeah, always a top tier jungler. He's been on some really solid teams too.
Yeah.
Just can never get it done.
He was the player I think that I was most surprised was on the table. And like, I didn't end up picking him just because I felt like I needed to prioritize solo lanes and ADC, because I feel like those are where the biggest gaps are. But like, when I was looking through all the players that had won Worlds and the ones who are still on the table, I think Peanut was by far the biggest surprise to me, because I hadn't thought about that, but Peanut has not won Worlds.
Yeah. I mean, you think of all the players that have come out of the LCK, and you almost expect Peanut to have at least one under his belt, right? But plenty of LCK titles.
and no Worlds title. He must have an MSI title, right? Does he?
I think he does. Does he?
I'm trying to think now. Because it's usually the LPL actually wins MSI.
Yeah,
we've had several
RNG
wins.
had like. They had that crazy run. Let me see.
They three-peated, right?
Yeah, I think so. they were going stupid at MSI.
Yeah.
Even last year they won it. No, never mind. Not last year. JDG won it. The year before that, they beat T1 in the final. Yeah. No, it doesn't look like he has one. He's actually only been once.
He's only been once?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that to me is the most surprising player that was on this list, is that Peanut has not won an MSI or a Worlds. And now hearing that he's only been to MSI once, that feels like a robbery. I mean,
that's crazy actually. I'm looking through his stuff right now. He's only been one time, it looks like. Oh no, twice. No, 3 times. Oh wait, okay, he has one. He won with T1. I'm tripping.
Oh, I forgot he was on T1. Oh no.
He was on that team with Hooney, Bang, and Wolf. So you have to take it all the way back to 2017.
Wow.
But
okay. Wow. Still. So the last 5 minutes of us talking out of our ass was for absolutely nothing. We were just wrong.
So it looks like Peanut, all he needs is a Worlds title, and And yeah, that's his one roadblock there.
That does make me feel better a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, he is one of those, he's been around for so long. And that type of longevity, you don't really see that in League of Legends.
I had always just kind of assumed that he had won Worlds, because it's like every season he's relevant. And he's been on like every top LCK team. So I'm like, I just kind of had assumed, but it's like Chovy, where it's like, it would make sense for Chovy to have won Worlds, but he hasn't. So I think it'll happen. I think Chovy will win Worlds at some point. I hope Peanut does. I don't know if he will, but I hope he does.
Yeah, I know Peanut's coming up on age soon.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But I think, Chovy for sure, especially now that he has exemption, he could go for as long as he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of LCK, then, I don't have too much this week from the LCK, but every favorite one, except for the team that I was so high on, Kwangdong Freaks. They went 0-2 this week.
We need to start a new movement that's like #stop Grayson takes or something. It's crazy how often these takes don't last more than a week.
Every single team that I say is going to be good.
We talked about we talked about what was his name? It's Chacarez or it's Chacarez, or I
Yeah.
don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but we
Uh-huh.
talked about him last week and how he got like every prediction wrong for like 2 weeks straight in the LEC. Don't listen to Grayson ever.
Oh man, yeah, I was so high on Kwandong. I'm still pretty high on them, but they got swept. So for some reason they played Bro twice this week. I don't know why, but
Yeah, I was. Did they have to replay it? Because I was looking at that, and when you look it up on like Game of Legends, it's only showing the series once.
yeah. So what happened was, okay, this is actually a really big deal because
Yeah.
on Saturday night, Saturday night, DRX and D Plus were playing.
Oh my god, for like 7 hours or
Yeah,
something, right?
so the LCK got DDoSed apparently, and they were like, okay, we're gonna play out the rest of this series after like a 6 hour break, and D Plus ended up winning that. And then what they did was like, we're gonna postpone this Kwandong Freaks bro series
Yeah.
until like future notice. They're like, we'll post on our social media when this match is gonna be. And what they did instead was they played the match out in secret so that no one would know that it was playing,
Oh,
and so that they wouldn't
interesting.
get DDoS. And they all played from their like respective team facilities. And what they did was they just recorded it and then restreamed it on Sunday night. But both times, Bro 2-1 Kwandong Freaks. But I'm putting an
Yeah.
asterisk on the second one because it wasn't a stage game.
So did they actually play two best of three series then?
Yeah, they actually
What?
played two.
Did they play one online and one in person,
Yeah,
or did they
yeah,
play?
exactly.
Oh, interesting.
So the one that they were supposed to have on Saturday night, they postponed it, but in reality, they just played it out. I'm gonna say that same day,
Oh,
and just
interesting.
recorded it and then streamed it the next day. But they did it like for security purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah.
I don't know. They
Rip
should be
rip
7-3
KDF.
right now, but instead they're tied with D plus at 5-5. So
Yep.
I don't know. I think maybe they looked complacent. Like they looked like, oh yeah, we're like a top team now, and they kind of looked, a little cocky maybe. You
Yeah.
go in 2 games versus Bro on the week, and you're like, okay, sweet, we're gonna come out 7-3,
Right.
and the opposite happened. So
Not so much.
yeah,
Yeah.
LCK was, it was interesting this week, especially with those DDoSes. The Telecom War was more like a telecom beating.
Man, I love KT, but damn.
Yeah, T1's just
Yeah.
different, bro. I don't know.
I know.
I don't think there's much you can do against those guys. T1 and Jiejie, like those guys look pretty unreal.
Yeah. Here's a quick fact about the Telecom War, though. I saw a post, I think it was on Twitter, that was saying we're coming up on 20 years of the Telecom War.
20
Like
years.
if you trace it all the way back, I don't remember the first game that they played, but like it's not in League. Obviously, League hasn't
Yeah.
been around that long.
Yeah.
But if you track the history of both T1 and KT, like the esports organizations,
Yeah.
it's been almost 20 years of games between the two. I think the first time they played against each other was in like 2005 or something like that, or
Wow.
maybe it was like late 2004.
What do
So
you
it's
think that
been.
was that like on Dota probably?
I don't think it was. I think it was on oh, like Brood War or one of the those games. I don't think it was Dota because I think Dota wasn't around back then either. I
Oh,
think it
okay,
it
yeah.
was like an early esport.
Damn, that's
I should know, but I
crazy.
don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
No,
yeah,
that's
20 years is
20
wild.
years is nuts. I don't really have much else to say about that. That's just crazy.
Yeah,
20 years
it's
of
just a
like
big number.
competition. Yeah, yeah. Especially in esports. It's cool having that type of history though. That's awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's cool that we're starting to get into the era of like I don't even know exactly what to call it, but like we're starting to see like these big milestones start to happen
Mm-hmm.
because esports is like such a new thing. I mean, you look at traditional sports and anytime like any two teams play, there's like years and years of stats between the two and there's like stuff to compare.
Mm-hmm.
But with esports, there are some teams that have only played each other like a couple times,
Yeah.
especially because teams cycle in and out so frequently. So it's
Mm-hmm.
cool that we're starting to have like 2 decades of the telecom war or whatever it is. Like it's cool to start seeing some of these really established teams start to have real history.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think every single region now has like those set teams, maybe not set teams, but those franchises that they've been around and they're going to be around for the next, however long, right?
Yeah.
T1 and KT are great examples of that for sure.
Yeah.
And then you got like Fnatic, G2, right? And the LEC. Like those guys are never leaving.
No.
LCS, like C9, probably never going to
I
leave.
guess C9 and TL, but I mean, like everyone thought it was going to be TSM.
Yeah.
It was always TSM until they decided to leave, and now no one's heard from them in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's C9 and TL now.
Mm-hmm. LPL, there's a little bit more turnover, I'd say, but I mean that whole region's growing like super fast as well. So yeah, that's awesome to see.
And there's some LPL teams that have been around for a while, right? Like Team WE has been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say EDG and IG have been around for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
So there are some teams that have been around for a minute.
Yeah, it's just a lot of turnover with like sponsors and whatnot, right? Like Jiejie, for example. Like I think they're gonna be a household name for the future, but those guys came from Samsung Galaxy, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's awesome. Like just seeing the growth of the sport is something I think we get to relish and take in because this is like our age of being able to see esports really grow, especially with the growth of technology and whatnot within our own lifetimes. I think it's gonna be awesome to see how it all moves forward in the future.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what the future of esports looks like.
I don't really have much else, honestly. Yeah.
No.
This was a little bit of a shorter episode, but I mean, 2 leagues were offline. So
yeah,
there's going to be plenty of stuff for next week with the LCS coming back this weekend. There's still plenty of banger games in the LCK and the LPL. I know Jiejie does play Kwangdong Freak, so I'm going to be up for that
one. Watch him lose again.
Yeah, whoa.
We'll see.
We don't need to jump the horn on that one.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to episode 7 now of the All Chat League of Legends Esports podcast. As always, you can find us on pretty much any social media that you're on. So check us out on all podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you listen to podcasts. We have our YouTube channel where we post both long form and short form content in shorts. That's also just at All Chat LOL. Check us out on Instagram, also at All Chat LOL, and we have a Twitter and a TikTok. So come check us out, and we'd love to hear from you. Let us know if you have any suggestions for the podcast. Let us know what your draft looks like. We would love to hear your draft ideas. Yeah. And that's it. We're signing off.
Oh, yeah. By the fans for the fans. We'll see y'all next week.
By the fans for the fans. See ya.